The Supreme Court is considering...
All hell. And wait, this is good. But the hell with CNN.
The Supreme Court is considering what could really be the end of the Voting Rights Act, which would protect minority groups. So you don't have a state that's half black, for example, that elects only one congressional member and everybody else goes to the Republicans that would represent that population in some ways. So if that is gutted, Democrats could lose 19 seats. This would be a huge amount. But this is also a measure of how much the White House is concerned about this, because Donald Trump knows if the Democrats get the House again, there could be new investigations just like last time. There could be a new impeachment. There could be a lot of impediment to these plans that right now the Republicans in the House and Senate are letting run like a freight.
Want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
Hey. Why this beat so cold?
We will make America proud again. When you try to kill our we will make America wealthy again. And yes, together, we will make America great again.
No matter if you're black or white. What Mike say? What Mike say, family? No matter if you're black or white. No matter if you're black or white. I tell you, man, one love to the human race. I love you guys, man. Before we get into this, I just want to tell y'all that I tell y'all this every single show, man. I really do love you guys, man. You know, we wishing the best in everybody's life, man. Besides all this news and politics and all this stuff that's going on in this crazy world in this country, we wishing the best in everybody's life, man. And I encourage y'all to spread love to one another, you know, even if it's a stranger, man. You know, I know the times we live in now, if you can't even have a conversation with people, man. You know, people are so in their feelings, so hurt, so deranged. You know, Trump deranged syndrome we have in this country. Boy. But I still encourage y'all to spread love, man. You know, and that we can find a common ground. And, you know, politics is always going to be a dirty game, no matter if you like it or not. But we got some big things with the Supreme Court and what's going on. He's redistricting these maps. And I want to have a little fun with y'all on this one, because we covered this a couple, not like a day ago, you know. But CNN, Democrats could lose 19 seats in the House if the Supreme Court removes racial guidelines from the Voting Rights Act. I personally agree. She says race shouldn't have nothing to do with congressional lines. And then y'all know Miss Jackson. Oh hell, Justice Jackson. She says she has no business being on the Supreme Court. She is clueless as to the Constitution and the laws of this nation. She was picked solely because of her skin color, not because she has the ability to do the job. Another DEI nightmare on display. And as y'all know, a lot of people reshared and liked that post. And then it says, when you realize this is the guy that picked Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson for the Supreme Court, everything makes perfect sense. Yeah, and they have a video of Biden completely lost and don't know where the hell he's at. But we send our prayers and love to Biden as he's going through treatment and radiation treatment right now with his cancer. You know, I tell you, they still ought to walk granddaddy out in handcuffs now. Nah, Rick, they say, Rick, sir, you're going too far, sir. You're going too far, Rick. Don't say that, Rick. Let Biden get his treatments. Don't say that, Rick. All right, man. But y'all know we said a prayer for Biden, man. You know, again, it's good versus evil, man. You know, and these other people are wishing death, mocking death, celebrating death, you know, and even wishing death on the sitting president of the United States. I tell you, what a time to be alive, man. Well, Ketanji Brown Jackson showed the world today that she is too dumb to serve on the Supreme Court. And as y'all know, they're talking about what she had said. And it was on full display, as you know. And even this NAACP lawyer came before the Supreme Court and said the quiet part out loud. Said we need race-based districts because white Democrats were not voting for black candidates, whether they were Democrats or not. And it says this is insane. And y'all know we played this and covered this in our last show on this.
That's right. And in the state of Louisiana, that analysis was conducted in the Nairn case. And it was clear that regardless of party, white Democrats were not voting for black candidates, whether they were Democrats or not. And we know that there is such a significant chasm between how black and white voters vote in Louisiana that there's no question that even if there is some correlation between race and party, that race is the driving factor.
Can you comment on the solicitor?
Race is the driving factor, I tell you. And y'all know Ms. Jackson refers to black Americans as disabled during the Supreme Court hearing. You know, but Democrats in the South face wipeout if Supreme Court guts Voting Rights Act. What would happen without Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act? Current map and possible scenario right here. Oh boy. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. You know, you just can't make it up. You just can't make it up. And look how CBS reported on this.
Discussion of race and how congressional maps are drawn. The Supreme Court is considering a case that could undermine the last surviving parts of the Voting Rights Act. Today, justices heard arguments related to Louisiana's congressional map, and that case is over whether states can consider race when drawing electoral lines. In 2024, the Louisiana House redrew lines to include a second majority black district. The High Court initially heard arguments on this back in March, but did not issue a decision before its term ended. CBS News legal contributor Jessica Levinson was listening into court today and broke down what we heard.
It's really hard to read the tea leaves here, but it looked like towards the end of the arguments that there were justices who were coalescing around a proposal that the Department of Justice had provided, which is essentially I don't want to say compromise, but more of a middle ground where maybe some of the precedents are, as Justice Barrett said, weakened, or she said clarified or modified.
And CBS News election law expert David Becker joins us now. He's also the executive director of the Center for Election Innovation and Research. David, thanks for being with us this afternoon. So how does this case actually impact who gets to vote and how much their vote counts?
Yeah, in a state like Louisiana or in many states, black voters or minority voters form a minority of the voting population. And we see in some states like Louisiana, where the white voting population tends to vote differently than the black voting population. In other words, the candidates that black voters prefer are being defeated by white voters for a variety of reasons. And this is, of course, exactly what the Voting Rights Act was designed to protect against. It was designed to implement the 15th and
unfair maps equals white supremacy.
14th Amendments of the Constitution to prevent that kind of activity and effectively shut minority voters out from any representation. And it's unusual here that the Supreme Court, where a majority of justices have already enforced the Voting Rights Act, a majority of justices currently sitting on the court, as recently as a couple of years ago, are now considering whether that act might be unconstitutional 60 years after its implementation.
Yeah, certainly one to watch here, David. If the court does end up siding against Louisiana, though, what kind of response could we potentially see from other states?
Well, I mean, we could see states where, with large minority populations, backtrack and go back to the
Democrats have been doing this for how long? I tell you, man. Oh, sweet hypocrisy. Hey. You know, but hey, now they're the bad guys. Now it's all about white supremacy. Now it's un-American, threat to democracy, unconstitutional. You know, and how long have they been doing this? How long have you been doing it, Democrats? Come on.
that we used to see before 1965. It's not that difficult if there's no restraints like the Voting Rights Act around there to essentially what's called crack minority populations. You might have a state with a roughly 30% Black population, and then you could draw districts that basically have 30% of Black population in each of the districts, meaning that the candidates that Black voters prefer would never get elected. That's exactly what the Voting Rights Act was intended to prevent against. And it's worked remarkably well, particularly in states like Louisiana, where we still see that kind of racially polarized voting.
So, David, this is all happening against the backdrop of states like Texas moving forward with redistricting plans of their own. It's been a busy season for that. Talk to us about how this all relates to gerrymandering. Could there be a problematic effect?
Y'all put the map on the wall, like I always say. Put the map up on the wall, and let's just continue to expose it in broad daylight for what it really is. Let's put the map up on the wall and just let everybody stand around and look at the map. And let's just go down the timeline. Let's look through the history. And let's really see the actual point that everybody's talking about. That makes Democrats just look even worse.
On minority voters overall.
Yeah, we should note the Voting Rights Act is not about protecting Democrats or Republicans or protecting the rights of minorities to vote for Democrats or Republicans. When I worked for the Department of Justice under two different administrations, I sued both. I mean, that happens all the time. But it may be in this era where both parties are trying to squeeze out every last district because that majority in Congress is so narrow that one restraint, this restraint that said you could not you could not dilute the minority voters' ability to elect candidates where they were large enough to form a district. That's going to be gone, and we might see states do even more redistricting, change lines more often, and we might see a reduction in the ability of minority voters, Latinos, Black voters, et cetera, being able to elect candidates that they think represent them.
Oh boy, I tell you, the hell with Congress, the hell with a politician, the hell with Democrats. I tell you, just can't make this up, man. You got the Black Supreme Court justice thinks that Black voters need assistance voting because they have the disability of being Black. You just can't make this up. She really said this. Look.
I'm thinking of it, of the fact that remedial action.
Democrats are done, man.
Absent discriminatory intent is really not a new idea in the civil rights laws. And my kind of paradigmatic example of this is something like the ADA. Congress passed the Americans with Disabilities Act against the backdrop of a world that was generally not accessible to people with disabilities. And so it was discriminatory in effect because these folks were not able to access these buildings. And it didn't matter whether the person who built the building or the person who owned the building intended for them to be exclusionary. That's irrelevant. Congress said the facilities have to be made equally open to people with disabilities if readily possible. I guess I don't understand why that's not what's happening here. The idea in Section 2 is that we are responding to current day manifestations of past and present decisions that disadvantage minorities and make it so that they don't have equal access to the voting system, right? They're disabled. In fact, we use the word disable in Milligan. We say that's a way in which you see that these processes are not equally open.
Oh, hell. Pull out that auto pin. DEI. DEI. Pull out that auto pin. DEI. Didn't earn it. Didn't earn it. Just can't make it up. Just can't. You just can't make it up, family. You know. But let me know what y'all think of this, man. Comment down below. Democrats are done, man. I tell you. Not looking good. You know. We just keep getting what's going on with Gavin Newsom, California. They just got a lawsuit because of their sanctuary policies for illegal aliens are harming states like Florida. California must pay for the carnage of their open border policies and unlawful CDL programs.
Commercial driver. All right, you might remember a few months back, an illegal immigrant in India made an illegal U-turn on a Florida highway. Remember that? Causing a crash. It killed
and didn't even give a damn about the person that lost their life.
3 Haitians living in the U.S. under temporary protected status. The illegal was only behind the wheel because he had a commercial driver's license from California, also one in Washington.
What a disgrace.
Which he only got because California gives out regular driver's license, even commercial ones, to illegals. Once you have one of those, not too difficult to upgrade to a commercial license. Remember, we found out after that deadly accident that killed innocent people that this illegal driver, he couldn't read. He couldn't read road signs, didn't understand English. In other words, the entire situation was caused by California's sanctuary state policies.
I'll tell you, California Democrats, it just didn't destroyed the damn country. People done lost their life. I mean, y'all ought to be. What a disgrace, man. Y'all know we covered this when it first came out. You know, Gavin Newsom and all them, and then y'all just running everybody out of California. You know, what a disgrace. We can go down the list. Chicago, New York. We just go down the list. I mean, man, just can't make this up. You know. But anyways, y'all. Says, wait, hold on. Matt Walsh says Democrats have used the Voting Rights Act to rig the system for decades. If the Supreme Court finally fixes this problem, it looks like they will. Democrats may never win a majority in the House ever again. This is huge. Huge case. But I'm going to get out of here. We'll catch y'all on the next one on today's show. We got some more big things to get into today. I love y'all. God bless you all, your family, and I will catch y'all in the next one. Peace and love, you guys.